Hi, everyone, and welcome to Fireside Chat with TaxGoddess Live, the fantastic redhead, of course. Our podcast exists to educate, entertain, and inspire entrepreneurs, business owners, and all the other crazy, fantastic, passionate, self-employed peoples out there. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of August, and I'm your tax goddess, Shauna, and this is our fantastic guest. Everybody say hi. So everyone, this is Casey Williams. Casey, are you ready to do this?
Absolutely.
Yay! Casey is an expert in business financials, and I'm super excited to have her here with us today. And I know business financials, yuck, most business owners want to dig their head in the sand, but as you're going to find out today, that is one of the worst things that you can possibly do for your business if you want to succeed, okay? So, Casey, what is one of the most important, besides what I just said, what is one of the most important things that you think business owners are going to get out of today's podcast?
The keeping up on your tax, on your numbers, allows you actually to save time and money in the long run.
Love it. Love it. Love it. We all love time and money. Those are two super integrated things. We love time and money. All right. Fantastic. And so today's overarching topic is knowledge in the numbers. So Casey, what are a couple of statistics that are going to blow the minds of our listeners today?
I would say the number one thing is that 50% of businesses go out of business in the first year from cash management problems, which is huge. And then if you make it past the first year, 50% of those don't make it to year 5, just because cash management a lot of times kills the business.
Well, and cash is king, right? If you don't have cash flow, cash management, obviously, you will die. So people, if you're listening and you're in the first 5 years, well, if you're in the first year, pay super detailed attention. And if you're in the first 5 years, you better make sure that you've got your bookkeeper, you've got your team, and everybody's helping you keep everything on track. But we're going to be covering all sorts of fun little tips and tricks and details and all sorts of things today. So before we jump into all the business stuff, Casey, I am fascinated with your background. You have one of the most varied backgrounds. I love it. So you were telling me that you grew up on a farm. What was it like to grow up on a farm?
Well, normal. I mean, that's what I grew up with. So I thought everybody did that. I grew up on a pig farm. We raised pigs and we raised crops, of course, as well. And I had sisters, and, we did inside chores and outside chores and learned to drive trucks pretty early in life. I started driving at 7.
7? Okay, wait. I'm picturing little tiny Casey on a big old truck. What kind of truck were you driving at 7?
Well, actually, I was driving a tractor, and Dad took blocks of wood and hose clamps and actually had to make the pedals closer to us by clamping blocks of wood so that we could jump off the seat and hit the clutch when you got to the end of the field so you could stop and turn the tractor around to go back the other way, because Dad had all girls, so we had to help. That's how it was.
I love it. I'm cracking up. I'm literally like tearing that. I've got this picture in my mind that is awesome. Yeah. Okay, so
it's not the greatest thing when you have to tell your children at the supper table that they are older than you were when you started driving and you won't let them drive yet.
Well, unfortunately, there are a few state rules about like driving actual vehicles on the road at 7. So I think you have a little bit of background. So obviously then you have kids yourself now. So tell us about the kids.
Yes, I have 4 children. They are 24, 19, 17, and 15.
Oh, so you see there's only one that can argue about not driving. 15, and wasn't it like 15 years and 8 months or something, and they get a tester license or something, right?
Yeah, he actually has his permit, and he's been driving since he was about 5 because he's a race car driver. So
race car driver.
We own a race team, and he's the driver, and he's now 15, and he drives about every weekend. So, and now he can drive the truck and trailer to the track, too, so long as a parent's sitting in the front seat.
I love it. You see, this is what just fascinated me about your background. So, wait, we've got race car driving, pig and crop farming. What else? Because there was like a whole bunch of other areas here.
Well, my husband is an entrepreneur as well. He owns a mechanic shop, so we have that too. Um, yeah, my oldest is into business. He's going to school for business, and he'll be a senior this year in college.
Yay.
Then the next oldest is going to be a freshman in college, and he is going to be a biology teacher.
Ooh.
And then the girl of the family, she is 17, and she's a junior in high school this year, and she is a cheerleader, and she's in band, and works a part-time job, and she also works in the accounting firm.
Well, you see, there we go. The smart apples don't fall far from the tree. So we're about to learn. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay. So I was about to ask, what is the most dangerous thing you've done? But, riding a tractor with blocks done with cable sounds pretty dangerous. Besides that, what is the most dangerous thing you've ever done?
I would say I drove the truck and trailer. We went out to Tulsa, Oklahoma a few years ago, and we were on some black ice, and I was driving. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and the truck and trailer started sliding into the other lane of traffic.
Oh, no.
And there was a big tour bus beside us. So that was a little bit scary. And so as soon as I got off of that, I zooped to the exit, and I'm like, oh, hubby turned to drive because I'm done.
Somebody else is taking over.
Yeah.
Well, and so depending on where you are, listeners, because our headquarters are in Scottsdale, Arizona. There is no such thing as black ice. That does not exist. But I'm originally from Canada, so I get it. I remember had an incident myself with black ice. Not me driving, but I remember being in a car, hitting a patch of black ice, spinning 6 times, coming out of it, and just continuing like nothing ever happened, because that's just what you do. Like, you get used to driving on this stuff. So for any of you that live in these super sunny climates, check out YouTube videos for black ice. You'll see what we mean, because the two of us are, black ice. Scary, scary stuff. So good. Well, we are happy that you are still here. This is a very, very important thing, and you are helping the business owners out there. So thank you so much for giving us some of the little get to know you things. That always makes the conversation a little more interesting. I have such a varied background. I'm so impressed. I love it. And so, of course, listeners, remember, we are here to educate, entertain, and inspire you guys, especially when it comes to businesses. We want to make sure that this podcast is getting you valuable information. So let's start in on the business stuff, shall we, Casey?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so tell us why you do what you do.
I do what I do because I enjoy it, and most business owners don't like it. That's why I do it.
And there we go. Got it. So filling a niche that just happens to be one of your passions. That works. Love it.
Yep.
And what were you doing before this?
Oh, well, let's see. I worked in an accounting firm. So I did taxes and payroll and bookkeeping. And before that, I worked in a software company where I worked with the developers to design the software for payroll people. So I worked with the IRS and I worked with the states to make sure that our software gave them taxable wages where they wanted it and gross wages where they wanted it, and tax limits made, it calculated correctly, and all of that kind of happy stuff.
And I'm sure many of our listeners heard tax and then wom, 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 which is, it's very common. So business owners, I know this one's going to be a little more tough, but keep engaged, keep engaged. I love it. Yeah. That's awesome. So working with some of those huge agencies like that, they are very specific and extremely detailed, and everything has to be just so. Otherwise, they're not going to accept it, and it's not going to work. And so, I think a lot of business owners have this concern about their books, that I don't know, I'm going to do it wrong. And so therefore they dig their head in the sand, and they never, at least just take that first kind of step. So when you have business owners that are worried about their books and, how do you help them get over that initial, listen, we just got to go do it. Like, how do you help them with the psychology of the fear of the government, basically?
Well, I schedule a time with them, and basically handhold them through the first couple. And then I say, see, this isn't really so bad. And once they get through the first couple accounts, it really isn't so bad, because I try to explain it so that it's easy to understand and makes sense to them in their business.
And I think that's one of the most important bits. You know, I've seen training classes, for example, QuickBooks Online is great, and they have these training videos, but their training videos are very, you know, you might be a mechanic shop and the training video is about a law office. It doesn't tie at all. It makes no sense to me, a mechanic, because I don't understand even what they're talking about. So what kinds of industries, when you're normally working with clients, do you work across a broad range of industries?
I do. Most of my clients are service-based industries. So that would be the chiropractors, the eye doctors, the coaches, the consultants, and then I have real estate type people, industry is what we call them, which people that do fix and flips, or people that do, they own rentals or have apartment complexes. Those types of industries are usually the people that I help.
And so, you know, real estate is a huge thing, because our practice is big on real estate as well. What is one of the most common pitfalls that you see in the real estate general arena happening in people's books?
People that do fix and flips tend to want to write off all their stuff before they sell their house. And you don't get to do that. And so some of those nuances of, okay, they do fix and flips, but they also have, as we call them, buy and holds, which are rentals. And so the rules change. When you change what you're doing, the rules change on the tax side. And just because you, as the operator of the business, you know, it's the same to you, it's not the same to the government. And so you have to keep those rules separate. And so that's usually where people run into trouble, is they want to lump it all together, and that's not really the best idea.
And so this is where either having a team of professionals, or two, asking questions. You know, it's one of the areas that I see, I'm going to flat out call it failure with business owners, is they're either afraid to ask the question because they think they're going to look dumb, or they're afraid to ask the question because they really don't want to know the answer. Like, they maybe know they're not doing something right, but if I never ask, then I won't know. You know, to me, that is one of the absolute failures of a business owner, is ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. You know, you said that the first year and then the first 5 years, people are failing for poor cash flow management. If you never ask the question of your bookkeeper or your spouse who's doing the books, which I'm sure we'll rant off on that topic in a little bit, but, you know, if you're never asking questions, that can only lead to problems down the road for you. So let's talk about that here for a second. So you've got a small business. They've passed that first year, right? So they're doing something okay on the cash flow management. But let's say they're in year 3, right? They've been having a spouse help them with their books. What is one of the biggest areas of concern that you see when you have a spouse doing the books for a non-trained, I should say, not a professional bookkeeper spouse, but like, you know, just your wife, your husband, whatever, doing the books for you?
I see a lot of, we'll just lump it here because I don't know.
Got it.
Sometimes there's like a huge miscellaneous expense column. Well, that's kind of a red flag when it gets to the IRS. You should not have this huge miscellaneous expense number that's 3 times higher than any other column that you have. I mean, that's a huge problem. You have to kind of dig through that and see what those miscellaneous expenses are. And sometimes they're really not. Just because you own a business doesn't mean everything that you do is a business expense. Yes, you do get extra business expenses, and yes, you can write off some of your personal stuff as business, but not everything that you do is a business expense just because you own a business.
My favorite example, and then I want to hear your favorite example, because my absolute favorite was, we got a set of books and it was in the miscellaneous account, and there was a $50,000 even, 50,000.00, $50,000 chunk paid to Tiffany's jewelry store in the miscellaneous business expenses. And so, of course, we asked, what is this? And he said, well, my wife wanted some jewelry. I'm like, That's nice, but no. That is not miscellaneous.
He should have said they put this beautiful, nice diamond carat something on the arch of the dining room or something.
Yeah, no. No. And I do appreciate the truth telling, of course, because that allows us to help, answer questions and see if we can reallocate it or do something with it. But so what is your favorite, no names, of course, but what is your favorite, oh, don't do that situation you've ever run into?
My favorite situation, I guess, is I brought on a client that had vehicles in the business because it was a transportation. And I started asking questions because I was asking questions for depreciation purposes. And I asked about the first 6 vehicles that were on the list on the documents that they gave me. And the guy said, "Why aren't you asking about the other 14 vehicles that we have?" And I said, "Because they're not on your books." So we redid, and we saved him about $25,000 in the end, but it was an ugly, gruesome couple months because they were in mid-audit when I brought them on, and they learned a lot quickly and learned that asking questions was a better thing than sticking your head in the sand.
Yay! So guys, I'm not quite sure. I probably should have had like a little ticker counter thing going on, but like how many times did we say ask questions, ask questions, ask questions? And in this case, asking a question actually saved you tax dollars. It made you money by asking questions. So asking questions is not always a bad thing. That's fantastic. Yay! $25,000. That's a new truck. We love it.
Yeah.
New truck.
Yeah.
Okay, so books. This is always one of my favorite questions. What book have you gifted the most?
Up until this point, my most gifted book has been Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because I do have quite a few clients and prospects in the real estate industry, and so that is typically known as a real estate industry book. So up until this point, that has been the book that I have given. However, the book that I will probably give more than I've given Rich Dad Poor Dad will be the book that I wrote myself, which is Financials for Gen Z. It was actually designed for teenagers or people headed out into the world right out of college. All their financial firsts, the first car, their first house, those types of first career, paycheck. Don't go out and blow it on a new car, that kind of thing. And then also it talks about maybe your first side hustle as you start into something beyond a paycheck. So that'll be probably my next most given book.
Yay! Okay, now, and yay, congratulations. So wait, is it on Amazon yet? Is it there?
It is not, but it will be shortly.
Woo!
I'm waiting on a new cover for it because the old cover had too many pixelated. It wasn't real clear. So we're redoing that, but then it'll be out.
Yay! Okay, so listeners out there, as soon as we get the link, we will post the link with the video and everything else. Buy the book if you're not lucky enough to be given a copy by the author herself. But I'm pretty sure that's only reserved for clients. So all the good bets.
Probably.
Yeah. So you guys out there, you're just going to have to buy one. Oh, darn. But that is awesome because, again, we go back to these startup companies. That first year, you said cash management was one of the major issues. And okay, very quickly, define side hustle for the listeners.
Oh, side hustle. Yes. That is, you are still working a full-time job, but you start a business on the side. So maybe you are in a network marketing company or a multi-level marketing company, or you decide that you want to start a bookkeeping business or, whatever it is that you decide that you're passionate about and you want to a consulting business or something that you start on the side while you're still working.
Dig it. Thank you. Because I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there are kind of that more entrepreneurial spirit, but you're right. They have a W-2 job and listeners out there, you guys know you've heard me say this before, a J-O-B is a dirty word from my perspective anyway. So yeah, so a side hustle is a great way that if you have a job because you need to pay for food for your family, a place to live, these kinds of things, a side hustle is a really great way to get into that entrepreneurial spirit. So thank you for the definition. So, all right. Ha, 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 ha. I was so excited. Okay. Now, you are an entrepreneur. You own this company. What does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, a typical day. Well, let's see. I first get up, and I sometimes wake the kids up first. Sometimes I decide to go have a cup of coffee before I wake the kids up. Just depends on the timing.
How much caffeine you need that day?
Well, I don't count cups of coffee by like a normal cup. I count by pot.
Well, okay, you and I are going to have to talk, because this is my, what is this? This is my Ibex. I drink at least 3. You see the size of this thing compared to the, yes.
Yeah.
There's about 3 of these with black tea, caffeine every morning. Let's go. Now, side note, okay, you're going to have to tell me, I am not allowed to drink black tea after 12 noon, because otherwise I do not sleep. So when is your cutoff point in your day for coffee?
Well, let's see. I do a Tuesday night 9 p.m. Tax Tip Tuesday video, so I'm usually still drinking coffee at that time. So about right after that, then I was like, no more, because otherwise I don't sleep either.
I am impressed. So 10 p.m. Tuesday night. Okay, so 9 p.m. Now we're gonna grab links from you for that too. So people, is that on YouTube? Can people subscribe? How do people get to that?
It's on Facebook, but yes,
it's on Facebook.
Can get on. Yeah.
Okay, dig it. So we'll put all the links. We'll connect everybody. So if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you're looking at the show notes. So what was your most recent tip about?
My most recent tip was on how to take profit out of your business and still have enough to pay the expenses in your business. So paying yourself first.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So I have a question for you then. So I have seen from other like financial advisors, so obviously you're bookkeeping, I'm tax, financial advisors, insurance. These are all kind of like a part of the same little world here, helping clients handle money. So I've seen financial advisors recommend if your paycheck is 100% of what you receive, take 20% automatically put it to a savings account, 15% automatically to retirement. If you tithe charity, 10% or whatever it is to your charity. How do you help? Because with some clients, that's easier said than done, right? So you're talking about paying yourself first. How do you like to see business owners set up their accounts to do something like that?
Well, I do basically what you just said. However, we look at what deposited into your business account over the last week, and then take your percentages out that way.
So you're actually doing it from gross sales.
I do, yes. I take personal money first, and then what you have left is what you should be able to live on. I mean, what your business should be able to live on.
And there we go.
And if you can't, you either are, because I see a lot of times business owners, I own a business, so I can justify this purchase. Whether I can afford this purchase in my business or not is a different story, but I justify it by I own a business, I can do it.
And we hear that a lot too. Well, my tax rate is 30%. Doesn't that mean I'm automatically getting a 30% discount? I'm like, yeah, but if you 30%, if it's 70% of money you don't have, that's still a problem. So
yes,
dig it. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, if you're living on a Volkswagen budget and you're trying to buy a Ferrari, maybe not so good. So do you help the business owners with their personal set of books as well, their personal finances as well?
I do a lot of times, because the two have to go together. You cannot, as you said, live on the Ferrari budget when you don't have a Ferrari budget. You don't have the income coming in. So sometimes we have to spell that out in black and white as to, okay, this is really what you have to live on. So you can't go out to a concert every weekend because that doesn't fit your schedule. It may fit your lifestyle, but these loans that you have that you're trying to live on, that's eating your lunch, the interest rate. So sometimes we have to explain it or kind of pare down over time to get to a realistic lifestyle
kind of life. And there you go. Love it. And that's a tough battle because, I've personally, same thing. We've seen clients, well, of course I can afford it. There's money in the bank account. Cash in the bank account is not the same thing as you've made money or whatever, especially when you start talking debt. What is one of the most dangerous things that you see when it comes to a business owner getting into debt? Something people should watch for?
I see clients that have those debts Just because you qualify for a loan doesn't mean you necessarily want to take the loan. I've seen people, in fact, I just had one this morning come into my inbox that was one of those, you can pay it back daily.
Oh.
Well,
oh, like the credit card merchant processing things or whatever?
And
yeah.
it was, they wanted like $700 and they made it read like it was $700 a month that you were paying back, but really it was $700 a day. Well, that will eat up your profits very quickly.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty scary.
And there you go with cash flow. You know, here you are expecting to go to that concert because you've created a budget, you've been good and whatever, and nope, no money for you. You are eating ramen and no concert for you. So gracious. Yes. So this brings up a good, because you're right. I mean, especially right now, you know, we're seeing a lot of concerns that the market is going to crash, especially for real estate people. The market, you know, everybody's waiting for the big bubble, and not to talk about expectations of future here, but if that really is something that you are concerned about, what is one of the best ways that you kind of suggest to your clients, or what do you suggest to your clients as far as, well, let's build a nest egg, let's put away savings, that kind of thing? What's your strategy there?
I usually have people put away 6 months worth of living expenses, or 8 months, depending on what their budget is. But I have them put that away in a savings account, even though it doesn't really make a ton, but it's very cash liquid. And so you have access to it very quickly should you need it. We call it, you know, either that's an emergency fund or a nest egg. And I usually have people put that in a bank that they don't bank at. So I have them put it, like if you bank at, say you bank at Bank of America, go put that at maybe in a Capital One account, because it's not a bank that you have to physically make the decision. Yes, I'm going to go get that money. And so it's less accessible. And then when you're able to put money in, and then when you need to take money out, you have the money there for the emergency that you have, the leaky roof that your client has, whatever the case may be, the money's available. Otherwise, you know, if it's right there, you just slide it across. It's just a transfer. Okay, I'll take $20 here, $30 here, $100 here. You know, pretty soon that money's gone.
And there you go. And it's all those little, I heard someone else once call it the Starbucks effect. Oh, it's just a coffee. Yeah, but when you take a $12 coffee every day, your cash disappears really fast, really fast. So you said 6 months to 8 months. Now, is that the personal side? Like, do you also have them set one up on the business side, or what do you do there?
I do. Personal side is 6 to 8 months, because you need 6 to 8 months of living expenses. If you still have a W-2 job and that suddenly goes away, you know, it may take you a while to replace that if you decide that you have to replace that as a job. I fortunately didn't replace mine. I just went out on my own and said, no more.
Entrepreneur!
If you have to replace that, you know, that it may take you 6-8 months to find a job that's comparable to what you had. On the business side, I tend to say at least 3 months of operating expenses. And then I usually add a little padding in if you have payroll for other people in your business. You better have a little more than that.
And there you go. Okay, so entrepreneurs listening out there, 3 months plus. So if you don't have that, if you are looking at your checking account and you are moving as a business, you're moving check to check every single month at the business level, time to be warned, time to get out of the Ferrari lifestyle, go to the Volkswagen lifestyle, got to figure it out. Reach out to your team of professionals, because obviously there are professionals out there that have very strong opinions, that have worked with clients and, you know, have actually helped, have found questions and savings and all sorts of things. So reach out to those professionals, guys. Absolutely love it. Okay, bookkeeping. The sigh for most business owners, bookkeeping. So you had mentioned in one of our earlier conversations about receipts. This is one of the biggest questions that I get is like, seriously, you're telling me I have to keep every single receipt from every single transaction, and I have to come up with a filing system, and you can just hear that stress in their voice. How do you recommend business owners deal with receipts?
I say electronically. I have my clients take a picture of your receipt. So you pump gas into your truck and you take a picture of that receipt and then save it. Either to a Google Drive, upload it to QuickBooks. There's a list as long as my arm of apps on your phone that you can get to save receipts. Some free, some paid, whatever suits your fancy. In our business, we use a Google Drive folder that we just upload receipts to. We name it the year, month, day, and then what it is. So if you went to that fuel receipt, you went to 2018, 08, 24, and then it was Shell or Marathon or whatever it is. And then if you're looking for a receipt, and I tell my clients this, we have a scanner in our office that we absolutely love. And so when that scanner died, I went back scanning receipts to find how long ago we'd purchased that scanner to know if it was worth buying again or if I wanted to buy something different. So, we think of receipts, you need them for an auditor, you need them for a tax problem. It may be, but sometimes in business, you just really want to know when you bought something. And so you can go back and find it. And if they're in chronological order, it's pretty easy to go back and find those receipts.
Love it. And even things like warranty, especially because we were talking about real estate. Well, when did you buy that fridge? If it's still within the year, it might be 2 days right before the year's up, but you have that receipt and you have it, you can find it, and boom, done. Love it. Mm-hmm. And especially if you recommend taking pictures, one of the things that we've seen is there's an app, it's a combination of apps, one called Scannable, which you can use your phone, hold right above the document, take a picture, so exactly as you're saying, and it sends that picture to a program called Evernote, which makes the entire receipt searchable. So I think you can actually even set it up to send it to 2 places. So it could be sent to a Google Drive to have it in the folders with the date and have it in a completely searchable private database. So Evernote might be another option for people, especially if you want to be able to search for things. So love it. Okay, Google Drive, Evernote, and as you said, there's 50 billion, gazillion apps. I know QuickBooks. Yeah. So talk about that a little bit, because QuickBooks how long ago did they come out with that thing where you can take the picture and add the receipt directly to your QuickBooks?
Well, I think it's been out for a couple years. However, as with most programs, when it comes out first new, sometimes it's a little buggy, a little quirky, and I think it was when it first came out. However, I do have a couple clients now that are actually using it pretty steadily, which is why we usually suggest the Google Drive, because I can go back and find a receipt as where I thought I uploaded it to QuickBooks. Well, you did, it didn't
take it didn't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On the Google Drive, we could at least go find it. But anyway, a couple clients now are using QuickBooks, and so QuickBooks is an app on your phone. You take a picture of the receipt, and it puts it into the QuickBooks right there with the transaction. So if you want to see you need a copy of that receipt of the refrigerator that you bought for, your property on Klein Avenue, you have that receipt right there. You can see, oh yeah, we purchased that refrigerator and it conked out, we need to buy a new one or whatever. You've got the receipt that you need.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So scanning pictures, and Tax Goddess is with Casey William on the digital. We are all about the digital. So for sure, especially, and I don't think, I'm not sure you have these problems where you are because you're in a colder climate. Here in Arizona, the temperatures will reach up to about 120 outside. Inside a garage, which is where most people physically keep their files, it can reach up to 150 degrees. And if you're keeping physical copies, those little receipts go white, absolutely blank, and you're done. You're cooked. You no longer have a receipt. There you go. So love the digital. Very cool.
Yeah, try explaining to an IRS agent. Well, it used to say $12.25.
I promise it did. Biggie's right. You know what? I've only ever had that happen in one case where the client actually physically wrote on the receipt. This was long before scanning. This was, 15 years ago, but physically wrote on the receipt what it was that they had purchased and the date and the time. I don't know why they did it, but they got into an audit. They literally pulled out a white piece of paper with the handwritten note, and the auditor said, okay, and gave it to them. So if you're going to keep paper...
That doesn't happen all the time.
No! Well, and especially now because they know that you can do digital. You can do another method. So keeping it in your garage, guys... Nah. And I'm sure that the spouses would love to be able to park their car in the garage rather than have your receipts in the garage too. That helps too. So Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so what do you feel is missing for most business owners when they are thinking about either starting a new business with relation to bookkeeping, or they've been in business, and like what kinds of reports, what kind of things should business owners really be looking at and focusing on when it comes to bookkeeping?
I find that clients think that you only have to do bookkeeping to get ready for your taxes. And that's real. I mean, yes, you do, but you're losing out when you do it that way. If you do your bookkeeping on a monthly basis, you're going to remember what you did. So, oh yeah, we had that receipt at Lowe's
12 months ago for
yeah, what property was that for? So if you can do it monthly, you are more likely to go find that receipt that's buried under the seat in your truck. And you are more likely to remember what property it was for, what property you were rehabbing at the time. And you can use those numbers to make decisions in your business, as opposed to that gut feel of, well, I think we're making money at that property and we're making money at this property, so we're losing our shirt on this property. I think we're okay. Well, yeah, but you forgot that that property's not bringing in anything because there's nobody living there. So some of those types of things that if you do it monthly, you actually have black and white numbers. You can look at a profit and loss. And we use QuickBooks for 95% of our clients. And so QuickBooks will allow you to run a report that you can run by property. That you can see this property's making it, this property's not, it's time to get rid of this property. We've had it long enough that we're not really making it anymore. It's time to go. Those types of decisions you can make because you have those profit and loss and balance sheet, statement of cash flows right in front of you. You can make those decisions. They're not gut feel decisions.
And I mean, you were talking about preparing books for tax returns. By the time you've prepared a tax return, it might be a year later that you've been losing money and you don't realize it until a year and 3 months when you file the actual tax return. You're going, oh my God, what's going on? I knew something was wrong with cash, but I didn't know why. Love it. So you mentioned something and it triggered for me. You said 95% of your clients are using QuickBooks. What are the other 5% using?
Spreadsheets or Excel, note paper. We still do have some that, they mail me a box once a month, and
I love it.
It still happens really out there. And, that's fine. They're not in the computer age. They really don't have a ton of receipts. So they just stick them in an envelope and mail them to me once a month. And we put them in. We use QuickBooks for them, but they don't use QuickBooks. And it works. I get on the phone with him once a month and we go through his numbers, and then he knows where he's at, and it works for him. It works for me.
Yay! Happy clients, happy books, happy CPAs, all the good stuff in life. Love it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's think about that then. So, so I'm a business owner. I'm doing flips and rentals. We'll go on the real estate side. Flips and rentals. You mentioned I can see all of the reports by property. What is that? Is there a certain feature in QuickBooks? Is that like a higher grade QuickBooks, or?
I think you have to use, I think they call it Plus.
Plus, okay.
And we use Class. So okay. It's called Class. And then as you're entering a transaction, or as you're categorizing it, bucketing it, then you can say, this was to the Klein Avenue option, property. It's a drop down. You pick which property it was, and then you can add to that list. You can take them out as you sell them. So you can, it's a choice. And if you have something that's an administrative, you can either have an administrative option or not, and not put it to a class. And then when you run your report, it'll tell you exactly what you have coming in and going out per property, and then what you have for your administrative costs as well. Okay, so guys, as you can tell, I mean, you can really, really, really get very, very detailed with books. But again, you got to keep up on it. What is the longest? I mean, you were saying monthly is kind of that's the best of all worlds, is to do everything monthly. What is a year? Was I heard kind of no, don't do a year. So what is the longest time that you think somebody can get away with, but not go to a year? I would say quarterly.
Quarterly.
Because at quarterly, you're looking for estimated taxes to know how much you need to pay your estimated taxes. We give out like a coupon so that our clients know how much they need to pay. But those numbers are based on what you did on your taxes last year. It's an estimate. That's what they're called, estimated taxes. So yes, you can pay those and then not pay a penalty, but that doesn't mean when you get ready to file your taxes next year, you're not going to owe a boatload of money because you made a lot more this year. Maybe you'll have it, maybe you won't. So it's better to know quarterly, okay, we're 200,000 over what we were a year ago. Maybe we ought to put some more money in so that we don't get to the end of the year and go, oh, we owe 100,000 more and we don't have it.
And I went to all those concerts and I bought 2 Ferraris. And what do you mean I don't have the money to pay for it? What's going on? Yeah. I love it. I love it. And of course, from a tax perspective, yes, yay, quarterly. We're all about quarterly. But yeah, guys, I mean, really, monthly should be your goal. Monthly absolutely should be your goal. And, if you come into the case, because, I mean, we hear this a ton, I would assume you do too. Well, I was going to do it when I got home, but then the kids, and then my wife needed something, and then I had to go somewhere, and I just didn't get it done. And 6 months later, there's no set of books, and they can't remember what they wrote that expense, everything that you just said. So at what point, when a business is looking at, listen, it's the spouse trying to do the books at night, and the kids are in the way, and we can never get the books done, and, not the kids would ever be in the way, they're cute and adorable and whatever, but you're not getting your books done, what do you do? At what point do you suggest that a business starts looking to hire a professional?
I would say sooner rather than later. If you think that you might be coming up on that, you probably should have already.
Really? Okay.
Because you can hire, and bookkeeping, there's everything from you're hiring someone to categorize and reconcile, you're hiring someone to pay the bills, you're hiring someone to do it all. There's a pretty strong gamut of what you really want in the terms of bookkeeping. And so, for our clients that are fairly new at it, don't have a ton happening, maybe they only do 2 or 3 properties a year, we have a fairly inexpensive package that basically is, and I send you an email every month and I hold you accountable till you get your stuff done every month. That's basically what it's for. To hold you accountable, I hold your attention for an entire hour on the phone once a month, and you have numbers to show for it at the end. We have the very complex where we do it all, and that's a higher end type deal. But some people just need that, hold me down for an hour, pinpoint me to make sure I get it done, and it's well worth your weight in gold at the end of the year to know where you are by paying that little bit to have somebody hold your hand and say, okay, from 3 to 4 on Thursday next week, we are going to get on the phone and we're going to go through your books and go through your receipts. And at the end, you have the numbers that you need to make your decisions.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Fantastic. Okay. So last major question here. What is the biggest mistake? So we've talked about, getting it done monthly, and we've talked about, making sure you have a program. If you can swing the digital thing, have a program. What is the biggest mistake? If you had to give a brand new business owner one piece of advice, what would it be?
Stay organized.
Okay.
You can go back quite a ways if you're organized.
Okay.
Say that you didn't do books for the whole year. It's your first year in business. You get to tax time and you walk in with this box, which happens.
But wait, everybody, did you hear how she said it? If you walk in with the box, right? That tone, don't walk in with the box. just a heads up warning, no boxes. Okay, I'm sorry, Casey, go ahead.
So you walk in with a box, and they're organized. It's in folders by property. It's in digital order. You have them in order. You have the receipts. You have them categorized. You have, I've had clients where they'll bring a whole packet of receipts, but they've got them all lined out on the top of, okay, these are all repairs for this property. These are all, and those aren't too bad. I can flip through those pretty quickly and come up with what you have to have for the year, for your tax return, for your bookkeeping, for your, it's really not the end of the world if you're organized. If you just come in with them just shoved in a bag, that's real ugly, which I've had before too. Clients come in with a Walmart bag and you're like, this is gonna take a while, but we'll get you some numbers.
I'm absolutely picturing you just sitting at your desk, looking at them and looking at the bag and looking at them. Go. Get me the $12 Starbucks. I will get it done. Bring it to me. Bring me the Starbucks. I love it. I love it. I love it.
It happens.
All right. So guys, we now have a hierarchy, right? We have like nothing, the bag, the box, folders, digital. I love it. Yay. Okay. Dig it. So I want to make sure that our listeners out there, so first things first, guys, Fireside Chats, we are here to bring you knowledge, bring you education, bring you entertainment, bring you inspiration. Entertainment, I still can't get the picture of you out of my mind sitting on a little tractor seat with these big blocks. I'm dying. I love it. Absolutely love it. So, Casey, how do our listeners, if they are they have questions on bookkeeping or they need to figure out how to do this, or they're just a starting business, or even, you said businesses 5 years plus, standard businesses that are just looking for a new bookkeeper, how do they find you?
Well, you can find me on my website, which is CaseyOWilliams.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook business page of the Casey Williams Company, and I share tips on there all the time on odd things, like I had a colleague, I guess it's a colleague, he owns a wealth management company, and he and I had a conversation earlier this week on, how do you, as the child of an aging parent, ask those questions of where do you bank? Where are you invested at? Those types of things, because I've had children come in and say, mom or dad passed away this year. What do you need for their taxes? And that is not an easy conversation to have sometimes. And so that is one of the upcoming Tax Tip Tuesdays that I'm going to talk about is, how do you have that conversation? So my Tax Tip Tuesdays, they're all recorded. They're all out there. You can go back and search and see, all the different topics that we talk about, from profits in your business to organizing your deductions to, whatever it is that you want to know about. They're all out there.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Casey. It's just been such a pleasure to have you with us. And so, obviously, guys, you heard Casey talk about her new book with a new cover that will be on Amazon. Of course, we'll link to that. And that's Financials, the number 4 Gen Z. Do I have that right?
You do, yes.
I do. All right. Dig it. So, guys, we will link to that. Make sure you go get yourself a copy. And, of course, you have questions on bookkeeping, you know who to call, the very lovely and fantastic Miss Casey Williams. And so, Casey, what is your last word of advice for our crowd before we sign out today?
I would say set some goals, whether they're personal, business, just going through the motions is going to get you just an average, and that's not where you want to be. So set some goals, both business and personal, and put some tasks to them. Get it done.
And if it's for a Ferrari, you need to call Casey so she can help you build the budget so you can eat ramen but still have your Ferrari. Just saying. Just saying.
Just saying.
All right, so Fireside listeners, if you enjoyed today's chat as much as I did filming it, please show Casey your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who appreciates and wants to be an in-the-know business owner, entrepreneur, and or otherwise generally fantastic person. Casey, thank you so much for joining us here today. It has been an absolute pleasure. And so for the Fireside Chat listeners, we're going to be back again next month, as usual, on the last Tuesday of the month. But don't fret. Until then, of course, you can always find us on podcast sites like Podbean's, Stitcher, and Google Play. And while you're there, please show us some love. We would love some reviews and subscriptions. Share with all your friends. Share the love. Share the knowledge. It is our passion to bring this knowledge to all the business owners here in the U.S. so that we can grow our fantastic country, which I absolutely love. So thank you, Casey. Casey, do you have a Twitter account or no? Facebook is your primary?
Do not.
Okay.
Facebook or LinkedIn?
Facebook or LinkedIn. All right. So people, you can reach out to Casey, Facebook or LinkedIn. Of course, you can reach us here at Tax Goddess at Tax Goddess on Twitter or pretty much anywhere else. Just search the term Tax Goddess. And if you have any questions or ideas for upcoming topics that you would like to hear, reach out to our producers at TaxGoddess Live at TaxGoddess.com. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.